Well, welcome to Denver, and welcome to your service as a volunteer leader for the Institute and for your profession. The Executive Committee is meeting right now, made up of Chairman of the Board Dick Wagner, myself, Mary Sue Wexler, your President-elect, and Vice Presidents Judy Lau and Glenn Bucko, and our Executive Director Brent Neiser. John Longstaff, another one of our Vice Presidents, could not be here because the lucky dog is in Alaska on a great fishing trip with his family. We let him go. It's a great pleasure to be your president this year. I feel very proud and honored to be put in that position. This is my 5th year of service on the board after serving 5 years as a leader in my local Delaware Valley Society. You'll hear quite a bit about the Delaware Valley Society, as even during the term of my first year of board service as a regional director, it was the most progressive society. And the Northeast, as I proudly represented, was the largest region with the largest number of societies. So it wouldn't be customary for me to start off talking to my board without me saying those things about my region. I'm quite proud of coming from the Northeast. We have a great group of people that we've assembled this year. It's quite diverse in terms of both geography, what you all do, and the types of skills and experiences you all bring from your local societies and your local areas. I think the real value of service will come from those sitting around you. Getting to know your fellow board members, getting to know your fellow committee members, getting to know the staff is really what's going to bring the true value to what it's like to serve in a leadership position for your institute and in a leadership position for your profession. Our job here at this board meeting is to keep the momentum going. We had an absolutely fabulous retreat at Yale. Many of you attended. Those of you who didn't missed a great opportunity. And I hope that as opportunities go, you won't miss many more. I've heard nothing but absolutely positive response from our retreat experience. And we want to build on that momentum as we plan for what will be a very busy September and a very busy fall. You know, as a board and committee, we only meet 3 times a year. Once during this late summer, early fall, once in January, and again in April before the year is over. So time moves very quickly. As all of you arrive, welcome back to some of you, and welcome for the first time to many others. As all of you arrive, it's easy to say that the train is already moving as it comes into the station. It will only slow sufficiently to let those of you jump on, but it's all of our responsibility to get up to speed as quickly as possible. Each of you have received in advance of this meeting several pages of material relative to the discussions that we'll have here. It is your responsibility as a board and national committee member to make sure that you've swallowed all of that material, had a chance to think about it, not just read it on the plane coming out here, but preferably have read it maybe a week in advance of coming out here, and then picked up the phone and called. There is a relatively satisfactory operational way of dealing with information that we have here at the Institute. Each committee has a chair. Each of you will be assigned to 2 committees, so you can rely first and foremost on a fellow board member for feedback about issues that you've read about in anticipation of the meeting. Your first line of call would be to your committee chairman. After that, you should think in terms of calling a member of the executive committee. And beyond that, our executive director, Brent Neiser, is always available, as is the individual staff person that's assigned to the committee that you might serve on which your question may arise. We have already satisfied one of my first goals for this year by having a more full-blown orientation session. I can remember arriving those 5 years ago as a Northeast Regional Director with full responsibilities as a fiduciary to the Board of Directors and not really being sure exactly how things work. As a result, I'm leaning on Keith McDonald, a returning board member who will be this year's chair of our membership committee, a position I myself held and a position that our President-elect Mary Sue most recently held for the past 2 years. And I'm also relying on a returning board member, Stephanie Tower-Keating, who was my successor as Northeast Regional Director and who started the process as chairman of our Strategic Planning Committee some 2+ years ago, that has led the board to a position that it now rightfully has, that of strategic thinking as opposed to operations. We have a substantially professional crew that runs our staff here in Denver, and we need to rely upon their plentiful talents in running the day-to-day operations of the Institute. As a result, that gives us the special opportunity that we have as board and committee members to think a little bit out into the future, to think a little bit strategically, as we would for our own businesses or for the businesses we work in. Our job is not to figure out what color the next Institute lapel pin will be. Our job is to figure out where the Institute will be in 3 years, 5 years, or even in the next 20 years. This is, after all, our 20th anniversary, quite a milestone. We've selected as a motto this year, one designation, one profession. Many of you know that that comes from a white paper done by one of our true pioneers and a former president of the Institute, Kemp Fain. I encourage all of you to read that document. I think it's almost the starting point for understanding what you can get from volunteering your time and effort to your profession and to your institute. There'll be a lot more information that will be given to you today under the substantial leadership, as I've mentioned, of Keith McDonald and Stephanie Keating. But rely on all of your board members that are returning, and feel free to contact any of us both during this meeting and after this meeting during the time that we spend away from each other to make sure that you stay on top of Institute affairs. A second goal that I have this year is to broaden the number of people that are involved in our discussions. As a result, each of you will probably be given substantially greater responsibilities that have been given in the past to visit your local societies and neighboring societies, to tell the Institute's message, to lead the profession. It's a tremendous opportunity. It's a growth opportunity. We need all of your passion. We need all of your creativity. We need all of your energies. There's great excitement that will be built this weekend as we get into the fall. Society open houses will start early in September. You'll hear a lot more about that from Jackie Jacoby and some of our staff people, other staff people and committee people, leading to the tremendous excitement that will build at the end of September for our Personal Economic Summit in Washington. We have things to talk about international opportunities. The whole year is really shaping up to be one of tremendous energy and excitement. I look forward to working with each and every one of you and getting to know each and every one of you. Let's start this next part of the meeting by introducing yourselves to one another and getting that process started. And above all, let me leave you with one last thought. Enjoy yourself. Let's now go to Keith and Stephanie. And thanks.